What's up, people? Welcome to Millennial Model Mayhem. My name is Liam, and today, with the help of my friend Taz, also known as Plamotherapist, we're gonna show you how fun it is to kitbash. If you've never heard of kitbashing before, it's when you customize your models by combining pieces from 2 or more different kits and bashing them together. In addition to explaining our love for kitbashing, we're each going to do our own custom Gundam-AGE Kitbash. Taz is going to use the high-grade Age 1 Full Glanza with the Age FX, and I told him to base his color scheme around green. I'm using the same Age FX, but I'm kitbashing mine with the Age 2 Double Bullet, and Taz told me to base my color scheme around white. I've been looking forward to using some different techniques from what I did in my Barbatos video, as well as experimenting a bit. So it's time to get out that G-Paint panel liner and some water slide decals. Let's bash. I got these high grades from the same friend that I got the SD I painted in my latest G-Paint video from. Thanks, Joel. This is the first time I've worked with Gundam-AGE kits, and these two are pretty neat, even if the Double Bullet has a really janky looking flight mode. Between the two, I think I prefer the Age FX, so I want to use that as the main frame of my kit bash. My main line of thinking when I'm kit bashing is to change or enhance the parts of the model I don't like or think could be improved. For example, I like the gimmick of the FX pieces separating from the armor to attach to this stand, but I only want to use 8 of the 14 pieces because there's too much going on for my tastes when all of them are attached. I prefer the body of the FX, but I think the head of the Double Bullet looks more stylish, and that's a really easy switch to make. Taz and I wanted to keep our kit bashing simple like this and only use the pieces from the 2 kits we're each working with. Hopefully we can show you just how easy it is to craft a mech that's uniquely yours.
Must resist using Gundam Graveyard.
Before I even started working with Gunpla, I was often kit bashing with my miniatures, and almost all of my custom Gunpla are kit bashed in some way. The FX has a pretty neat gun, but I like the idea of my kit bash dual wielding the 2 smaller guns from the Double Bullet, but I did take 2 side pieces from the FX gun to enhance the look of the guns I'm gonna use. The last thing I'm gonna change on the FX is the Core Fighter backpack. The shoulder-mounted weapons of the Double Bullet look like they could be turned into backpack thrusters, and after some fiddling around with the various connection points and different combinations of parts, I found a way to make my vision come true, even with a bit of articulation. Now that I've figured out my kit bash, I've got to clean it up and get ready for airbrushing. After removing the previously applied stickers, I also removed the excess peg for the new kit-bashed backpack and sanded it nice and smooth with the classic 600, 800, and 1000 grit sanding sponges. Plamotherapist recommends these, and so do I. The last modifications I make are removing the safety nubs from the V-fin and using some thin plastic cement to attach those previously mentioned pieces to the guns. Once everything is properly washed and dried, I plan out my color scheme and the detailing I want to do. I highly recommend planning out your projects, especially when airbrushing, because if you work from your lightest to darkest color, you'll have an easier time cleaning out your airbrush in between. I said I wanted to use up the rest of my V1 G-Paint, so I'm starting by priming everything with Mr. Surfacer 1200. Then I quickly sprayed some sections I wanted to practice masking on with gunmetal. Back in January, I made a video about customizing a high-grade Sengoku ashtray, which involved experimenting with a technique of pre-shading by hand painting instead of using an airbrush. I've been wanting to further experiment with this technique for a while, and this casual kit bash project seemed like a great chance to do so. This time I'm doing the opposite of the shading I did last time and painting the inside areas of the panels instead of going along the edges like standard pre-shading. Pre-shading in freehand makes free shading, but this time it's reverse free shading. Last time I shaded almost all the pieces, but had troubles with the effect showing up properly under the darker colors, so this time I'm only shading the pieces that are gonna be white. After my reverse free shading was done, I masked off the few sections I painted gunmetal. My masking was fairly minimal with this project because I didn't want it to be the main focus, but I still wanted to make sure I got some of that all-important practice practice in. For my main color, which should be white according to Taz, I thought of the slight pearly sheen I was able to get on the wings of my Red Bull God Gundam, so I used the same mix of gunmetal and white, but added just a bit more white this time. I could tell I was applying the paint a bit too thick to be able to get the shading effect that I wanted, but I was working within the limitations of the needle size and single action trigger of my airbrush. I do have an Iwata Neo airbrush that would be more appropriate for the task, but I haven't been able to use it in over a year. More on that later. For the complementary color, I kept to my slightly metallic theme and mixed up a purple with red, blue, and a dash of gunmetal. Dark iron is a great color, but I find it's a little too similar to gunmetal sometimes, especially when they're right next to each other, so I added black to make darker iron for the underframe, main sections of the guns, and some other minor details. The last color to airbrush is my gold pale blue shifter paint. And I know that these are meant to be applied over a black base coat, but I wanted to see what it would look like over this light gray base. At first I felt like I'd made a mistake because it took more coats to get decent coverage than it would have over a black base coat, but I stuck to it and ended up with a surprisingly nice pearly sparkle finish to these parts. I guess sometimes breaking the rules
is good.
Before I could reassemble and evaluate, I quickly painted the eyes with gunmetal blue, then mixed in a little metallic medium for a highlight. I also got a few satisfying peels from unmasking the masked parts, but I still made a few mistakes, so I better keep practicing. The first look you get to have on a custom painted kit after reassembling is always magical, but I can see a few spots that need fixing. Another thing I've been wanting to try is hand painting with G-Paint, so I'm gonna give it a shot by touching up these spots that need it. I know you're supposed to use a retarder to hand paint with lacquers, but I didn't have any at the time when I was working on this, so I just did it anyways. And from the finish I got on some pieces, I can definitely see why you would need a retarder to slow down the drying process. Oh well, at least the gloss top coat I'm about to put on will distract from these minor imperfections. Before I apply that top coat though, I need to fill in some missing details on the head with more shifter paint and carefully applied Citadel Nuln Oil to shade the recesses. I didn't want to risk damaging the acrylic paint with my usual enamel panel liner. Speaking of panel liner, once I've got everything nice and shiny with that gloss top coat, I turn to Tamiya Black to bring out the details on the rest of the mech. Then as usual, I clean up the mess with some mineral spirits and Q-tips. The last step for detailing this kit bash was to use some water slide decals that have been sitting unused in my drawer for a while, so I rewatched Taz's helpful tutorial on the process and attempted to apply a tasteful amount of white designs to the purple sections. Like masking, water slide decals are one aspect of the Gunpla hobby that I know I need more practice in, and I was happy to get the chance to on this project. Like I said at the beginning, Taz is the guy behind the YouTube channel Plamotherapist, where you can find a variety of hobby content covering useful subjects like tutorials, custom builds, and how your mental health can benefit from hobbies like Gunpla. His videos always remind me of the reasons why I enjoy this hobby so much and how I got into it in the first place. I definitely recommend checking it out. But first, check out my finished Gundam-AGE Kitbash. The reverse free shading I did on the white sections is a bit more subtle than I had hoped, but I still think it has a neat effect. I think part of this is due to the rough way I applied the paint through my single action airbrush, but Taz recognized the problem that I had with my Iwata Neo and actually helped me fix it. So now the next time I want to try my free shading technique, I can take it to the next level. I could go further from this point and maybe paint some glowing effects, or perhaps selectively apply a matte top coat, but my vibe check has me feeling that this project is complete. I experimented some more, learned through trial and error, and also had a refreshing break from my model Mayhem painting style. Experimental techniques aside, my main goal with this project was to show how much fun you can have with basic kit bashing, customization, and detailing, and I think I succeeded. Gunpla's freedom. Don't ever let anyone tell you you're doing the hobby wrong. Live your own truth. Make sure you head on over to the Plamotherapist YouTube channel to see what kind of custom kitbash Taz did. The links will be in the description and pinned comment. Leave a comment below and on our social media pages to let us know whether you're on Team Taz or Team Liam. Hopefully our videos will inspire you to try some kitbashing of your own. It's a great way to revitalize old projects, use extra pieces you have, or just be creative. Thank you for watching till the end of my video. Please annihilate those like, subscribe, and bell buttons, and if you'd like to support my content creation endeavors further, consider becoming a patron. At the time of recording, I'm getting pretty close to meeting my first goal, so there's gonna be some exciting changes happening soon. That's all for now. Good luck kitbashing or working on whatever project you happen to have at the moment, and I'll see you again soon in the hobby content zone.